So I binge watched The Sandman last night and I was up until 3 a.m. I put eye drops in my eyeballs to keep them moist. Not because I was hooked to the show, but because I just wanted to finish it in one sitting. And I couldn't understand what is wrong with it, to be honest. There was nothing wrong with the CGI. The VFX team did an amazing job. The dream sequences and everything was just amazing. But there was something very off about the show. I wanted to see why I'm not enjoying it, why it's not giving me the feeling when I read the comics or listened to the audiobook, and kinda zeroed it down to casting and performance. Hi, my name is Nazgo with an O, and today I want to talk about forced representation and diversity in new shows, specifically in the new Sandman. Over the past few years, we have had this movement from big studios to really trying to make up for their past mistakes when it comes to casting only white people. And now they are overcorrecting it with race and gender swapping everyone on screen. They make this mistake especially when it comes to characters from adaptations and characters that are already well established and have a fandom. The discourse around big studio productions, whether movies or TV series, had drastically changed over the past few decades, and all we can focus on is either race or identity and gender politics in them. And no thanks to said studios like Marvel, we all are experiencing wokeism fatigue, if you will. We as the audience are becoming more and more sensitive to their every move. But listen, I can't blame it on Marvel and all, but some fans been acting sensitive to black actors being cast in adaptations for a long time. Best example that I can give you is for the time where fans were upset, and by upset I mean this was their reaction. When they heard that a black girl was casted for the role of Rue in Hunger Games.
Awkward moment when Rue is some black girl and not the little blonde innocent girl you picture.
Some ugly little girl with nappy-eyed hair. Pissed me off. She was supposed to be cute and at least remind her of Prim.
And for the record, I'm still pissed that Rue is black. Like, you think she might have mentioned that. Is that just me, or...? I don't know which book they've read, but there are several parts of the book that mentions that people from District 11, where she comes from, had dark skin. And even in her character description, it was mentioned she in fact has dark skin. I'm not saying this time we are seeing the same reactions when it comes to the Sandman Netflix show. Netflix decided to publish the names of the cast. It started a huge controversy, especially that they decided to put the pronouns of the actors. And it was all for just one actor that had they, them pronouns. Netflix, what are you doing?
Neil Gaiman, everybody, Neil Gaiman.
Gaiman was heavily involved in the production. He does have a bad habit of being very vocal about his work, even in other medias. And this time he took on Twitter before, during, and after the production to defend some of his choices. Personally, I find it very questionable that he has to constantly defend the show. Like, he constantly gets into bickerings online with the fans. Some of them are very funny. You have to read them. Honestly, I understand some of the outrage it got. No matter how much Gaiman tried to justify it, the characters from the comic were modeled after famous musicians at the time, and yep, all of them were white. Even though Gaiman keeps telling people to go back and read the comics over and over again, I kind of feel like he forgets that graphic novels are a visual medium. And when a character is drawn or designed, there is a purpose to it. Best example is Death, that is portrayed by Kirby Howard Baptist, a black actress. And it got a lot of backlash from the fans. If you're not familiar with the source material and you just watch her on Netflix show, Kirby does a phenomenal job as playing Death. It was a very strong performance. So I have to disagree with the whole, oh, they cast someone because of representation and not talent. And she did give me the whole older sister vibe, which was interesting in contrast to the comic. Comic lovers know that back in the day, Death was even more popular, let's say, than Dream, the main protagonist. Her design echoed a marginalized group at the time, which were goth girls. And she was this pale girl with raven hair that she would style in cool ways and wearing all black. And personality-wise, she was this bubbly, happy, and very kind Death, a very different type of Death that we've seen so far. Like Gaiman always says that he imagined Death being kind and gentle rather than horrifying. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have black goth girls. We certainly do, but her being this goth white chick had a lot of impact on readers at the time, and it invited a lot of girls to join the fandom and cosplay her a lot. One more thing that we have to consider is that these characters are personifications of ideas and they do appear differently in the comics. For example, Death and Morpheus do change their appearances while meeting people from different cultures, and I wish it was addressed in the series too. Lucian or Lucian, librarian of the dreaming, was portrayed by Vivian. I am not even gonna try to say her last name. I'm so sorry, I'm gonna butcher it. In the comics, we see Lucian as a tall, white man. He's one of Dream's creations and they do have a very close friendship. His character was more of a Jiminy Cricket to Morpheus and he was someone who would ground him. I don't care that they casted a black woman for this role. My problem is that the relationship dynamic was changed to old married couples vibe, and this portrayal of Lucian's constant nagging and bickering with Morpheus didn't really go with the comics. Lucian is supposed to be this gentle creature. Her performance again didn't do the character justice, and her being black didn't add anything to the character either. Next up is Desire, played by non-binary actor Mason Alexander Park. People went crazy when they heard the news, and I think they forgot or didn't know that Desire from the comics was this flamboyant and androgynous looking, now we call them non-binary character. Good God, Mason Alexander Park did an absolute amazing job. Their voice, their presence on the screen was fantastic. And I'm actually very happy that they didn't portray Desire as this white woman with big tatas, because let's face it, it would have happened if the show was made in the 90s. Lucifer was fine. Gwendolyn just wasn't the right choice. She was far too similar to Tilda Swinton, who did a superior job in Constantine. I fear they merely copy and pasted that. The character was modeled after David Bowie's early years with a bad perm, by the way. And my god, what was that hairdo? She looks like a giant infant from Renaissance painting. Speaking of Constantine or Constantine, gender swapping this character to a woman with posh Cockney accent was the biggest mistake they made. She was the most unlikable character in the show. The acting was weak and out of place, the tone and the delivery of the dialogue was super off, and cringy jokes that didn't land well. And don't even get me started on the fact that they made this character bi. This is when Netflix shot itself in the foot, because on an attempt to make the show more woke, they kind of cornered themselves with bury your gay trope by killing off her ex and a lot of other characters that just had to be LGBTQ+. And at the time that they made this mistake, it was with the Corinthian engaging in intercourse before killing his victims, especially the male ones. I'm so tired of seeing this trope. I think we got past all this. The whole LGBTQ plus character equal evil equal serial killer. But no, here we are again seeing this on TV, on so-called woke TV. Okay, now side note, Boyd Holbrook's killed this role. His charm was the highlight of the show. Every other side character felt flat and one-dimensional. The acting in some of the scenes were painful to get through, especially Abel and Cain. They really tried to make some of them look edgy, but the costumes were so off, and I legit thought they were dreams, creations, and not people. Honestly, the only praise that I can give Netflix when it comes to bringing diversity and representation was the fact that they hired darker skinned actors, which is sad to even mention this. But again, with these choices, they corner themselves with tropes that is associated with race. In this case, magic black woman trope. Now listen, I'm not saying that we have to be like sensitive like those fans, but to be fair, Gaiman's work always woke and progressive. He always puts LGBTQ plus characters. He always uses androgynous characters. He always designs characters that are genderless or raceless. So on that note, I can't really say that this was forced representation and forced diversity. Yes, most of the characters didn't have to be black. What was the point of them being black? Like, race has to be part of the story. It should add something to the character. It should add something to the background. Otherwise, it's just studios saying we have this project and we want to have at least 3 black people just because adding diversity. In the end, I was very disappointed with this show. Is Gaiman to be blamed for it? Well, yes and no. As a creator of these characters, he should have known better and should have kept his focus on creating interesting characters rather than politically correct ones or the ones that serve an agenda. And I'm legit concerned about the upcoming series like Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, and House of the Dragon. And I'm also very curious to see how they're going to ruin these beloved stories with their forced wokeness. And I will definitely discuss these new shows on my channel. Thanks for watching this video and have a nice day.